it wasn't all on the candidates. So eventually Kamala Harris comes up and she's getting a little bit of criticism for this clip, which I sort of get a little bit, but much less criticism than Chris Cuomo, who decided to joke around and perhaps didn't nail it in the way that Anderson Cooper did. So Kamala Harris comes out to be introduced and this happens.
And my pronouns are she, her, and hers.
She, her, and her. Mine too.
All right.
Thoughts? So there, people are saying, okay,
Mine
some
are
people
his,
are saying,
because I don't think he had any. He thought it was funny.
I know, he thought it was funny, but that's the thing. Like,
and that instinct.
It's not a joke. Or it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to. You're not obligated to make the joke.
It's a weird dynamic, right? Because Kamala Harris is being out front with it, you know, and just being like, hey, here are my pronouns. Also signaling to the audience that she understands that pronouns are a thing
and are important to some people.
And it shouldn't be such like a stigma that you're afraid to bring it up.
Yes.
And then Cuomo, his instinct as being just Cuomo, like, hey, it's just me, and you know, I get things wrong along the way. Not too dissimilar from Biden in those respects. It's like, you know, if I'm wrong, I'll apologize, huh?
Yeah.
Like that's how he is. He's like a New Yorker.
I get it. Biden would have done that exact same thing,
right?
By the way.
But the point of this whole town hall is like that's not what we're here for.
Yeah,
we're not here to make that joke. And I get that it's at the beginning.
And here, by the way, I'm not a comedian. Brett, you're a comedian, so feel free to criticize. I will say what I think all of these jokes spring from is some politicians would stand on this stage and be really uncomfortable because they either dislike or fear this community. But I'm really comfortable with you guys because I don't hate you, so I'm super comfortable, so I can joke around. And that leads to saying things that communicate stuff that they're not intending to communicate because they don't realize that while they are more comfortable and don't hate these people, they don't necessarily have as developed a position as sometimes they think that they do.
I definitely think
and that includes everybody, including myself.
But I think people are still uncomfortable. Like I think Cuomo's still uncomfortable with it. I think, and the reason that you make jokes is to.
I mean politically comfortable, by the way.
Right, but
I think I have the right position on this issue. I'm not worried about being wrong, and so I am comfortable.
Right, but in doing so, disproving that you should be that comfortable and that you do have that understanding you think you have, right? Yeah. But when you say the word comfort, similarly, he does feel comfortable making that joke, but he also feels I think a lot of people are still uncomfortable with saying the wrong pronoun. And there's different instincts people have with that. People who don't turn to humor typically just try to be extra reverent. People who do turn to humor. And in doing, and the point of humor is just to point out a truth.
Yeah.
And what he pointed out was what he thought was a truth, a true little moment for him. But it was false, and it rang false, and that's why it was just really, really awkward.
Yeah. So there were also, in terms of frustration on the part of the community that the forum is for how the forum is run, there was a protest by a group, I believe it was primarily trans women of color, who were frustrated with the questions that were being asked, the lack of representation in a number of different aspects. And one aspect of this that we're actually going to be talking about later on the main show is a friend of the network, Ashley Marie Preston, had been previously scheduled to be at the forum and apparently was not being treated with a sufficient amount of respect. She tweeted, "I'm pulling out of the LGBTQ presidential town hall tonight. I was part of the program and CNN scrapped my participation last minute. I was going to bring attention to the terror TSA inflicts on trans and non-binary bodies while traveling. I'd rather be absent than present and silent." Because apparently they still wanted her to be there to show up on camera, but not actually have any time to talk about the issue that she cares about.
Yeah, there's a movie called In the Loop where they're referred to as room meat. And it's just like, we want to fill out the room with people so it looks a certain way, and that is using someone. Ashley Marie will be on TYT later, the main show later today, and we'll talk about that. Specifically, she wanted to bring up the TSA issues, which there was a pretty significant write-up about it. I think it was, I don't want to say the wrong outlet, but it was just revelatory of exactly what you go through when you go through TSA, which is a federal program, which is just indicative of, just one of the many things that you face that isn't treated the right way.
Exactly. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.